Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. My name is Dana Gentry, and Linda McKissick, my co-host, and I are super excited to share with you the next few episodes that we have coming out. We recently just wrapped up the Keller Williams Family Reunion Real Estate Convention in Anaheim, California. For those of you that don't know, this is the largest real estate convention in the country every single year, with over 12,000 realtors from all 50 states plus other countries attending. And we had the privilege and honor of being on the first ever Radio Row, where we got to interview 8 amazing guests who are going to bring you tremendous value and knowledge. So of the 8 people that we got to interview, all are leaders, all are real estate business owners. All of them are exploring more opportunities as they continue to grow, and they shared some amazing nuggets in a 15-minute interview with each one. So without further ado, over the next 2 to 3 episodes, please enjoy our guest. Thank you for listening. For those of you that we saw, we loved seeing you. Please don't forget to rate, like, and review, and we just appreciate all of you guys. Have a blessed day.
Next up on our radio row is Nick Waldner. We're super excited to have you, Nick. So let's start with you telling us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have to ask, am I your favorite guest?
So far.
So far.
In this time slot.
Oh, perfect. All right, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Haven't had Jay yet.
That's true. Sorry.
Oh, Jay. I don't know about that.
It's going to be hard to compete with Jay.
So I'm Nick Waldner. I work in the Maryland area. So we cover the entire state of Maryland. I've been selling since 2002. So 21 years. Most of that was terrible. And I was still learning and still trying to figure things out and screwing things up left and right. And, you know, we've had a really good ramp of success for the last 6 or 7 years.
What's your all's production and stuff been like?
I think we were right around 200 million. So we were the #1 group in Maryland and DC, but we actually don't work in DC. So we get to beat all the DC agents not being in DC.
And not even work there? Wow, that's pretty darn
But we're
good.
changing that. We've got a licensed agent now in 3 different states. So we're starting to spread out a little bit.
So you said in the beginning things didn't go as well. Or it got better. What changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think I got into the business for the same reason all of us do, which is I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to be the CEO. I get to decide what I do.
Free time.
Right. And then I realized I'm not my own boss. Whatever my client says, I got to do whatever weekend or evening, I've got to jump when they say jump. So it got very clear. I had several girlfriends over the course of my early career in real estate that when we got into heated discussions and they started stomping off to the door and they turned around and they said, all you do is work. All you care about is work. You're a terrible boyfriend and you're going to make a terrible husband. And I'm not the smartest. So I have to hear this, like literally the 3rd girlfriend who, after a heated argument, started stomping through the door. And I thought, oh man, I could write the script. I already know what she's going to say. And she said, all you care about is work. All you do is work. You're a terrible boyfriend. You're going to make a terrible husband. And you're going to be a terrible father.
Oh, that one hurt.
Yeah, and I thank her for that every day, because that was the one that finally realized it's none of them. It's 100% me.
Wow.
And, at that time, so now I am completely prospect free of girlfriends. I'm now like, how do I become an amazing father? So to me, it was like, all right, well, I have to build a business. I have to be home every night at 5 o'clock to have dinner with my kids. I need to be around for the weekends, for the sports games. I need to coach soccer, lacrosse, or whatever. I need to go to the school trips. Like I want to be present, and I can't do that if I'm working 24 hours in real estate.
Wait, you have kids now?
Oh yeah, I've got 2. I've got a beautiful wife. 6 years, I think, maybe 7. Hope you're not listening, honey. We've got a 4.5-year-old. We've got a 2-year-old,
Wow.
and she's pregnant right now with number 3, and it's a girl.
Oh,
So we went boy, and now we got our girl.
all right.
Awesome.
So fun.
Love it.
Well, one of the hottest topics Dane and I get on our podcast is that people are at burnout. And when they're at burnout, they start looking for greener pastures or something different. How do you solve that? Do you ever have burnout?
No,
What do you do when
100%. I
you do?
mean, that's really what we're talking about is when I'm answering emails at midnight and then calling somebody back at 7 a.m. and I'm doing that on a Sunday, how would you not get burned out that way? How would you not feel overwhelmed when 24 hours a day you're on call? So, I think it's really just understanding how to run a business and then how to set expectations with your client. If you email someone back at 11 p.m., they will always expect you to email them back at 11 p.m.
So true.
And I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, never answer your phone past 5 o'clock. I mean, we chose real estate, so we got to be open to that. But I'm an old man. I go to bed at 9 o'clock every night. It doesn't matter if somebody calls or emails me past 9 o'clock. I don't see it till I wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then when I respond at 4:30 in the morning, no one responds to me then.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get stuff done, but that's the expectation. And there's nobody that questions it and says, hey, why didn't you answer my email at 12:30 at night when I send it to you? Because I was asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and you
Why
have
did you answer
to
mine at 4:30
Yeah.
when I was up?
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So you just start setting boundaries, and then you start offloading the things that you don't like. So, for me, the whole paperwork side was miserable. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. So the sooner I got that off my plate, the easier my job got, and it helped with the burnout.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I liked today how they put that slide up in the last session of like the things, what was it? The things that you do and the things that you use to grow, like just separating all those things
Yeah.
out. I can't think if I took a picture of it, but the exact words. But I was like, man, if a lot of agents really understood that and got that, they could probably leverage quicker the things that they don't like to do, which would avoid some of the burnout. Because when you're
Yes.
doing the things that you hate, you're burnt out. I mean,
Yeah.
then you're like, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I can remember like first time home buyers and being so excited to get them in their first house. And then there was a year I sold like 75 homes and it was just me. And I was sitting at settlement with this first time home buyer. And I'm thinking, what is taking so long? Why is this title person taking forever? I got a home inspection. I still got to write that offer for blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking all this in my head. And I look over to these smiling, gleaming
Yeah.
couple that are about to get their first home. And I realize what a jerk I am,
Yeah.
that I'm missing this moment because I'm so overwhelmed with everything else going on.
That's a great
That's a
point.
great point.
And that's when I was like, okay, maybe working with consumers is not my calling right now. Maybe I've passed that passion part. So then I started working with agents and I started training agents and teaching them. And they would, oh, I got my first listing, or, I sold 3 houses this weekend. Oh, my wife, my fiance and I are getting married. And like all of a sudden, while I was, 3 to 4 months with a client, I'm now like 2 and 3 and 4 years with agents, watching them grow, helping them. And that was a much bigger passion as I realized like, wow, I had no idea this even existed. And now I'm at a point where I've been running a successful team for a number of years. And I think, well, what would it look like if I helped other teams make their team more successful, make it more profitable, put them in a position where they actually enjoy doing it? Because a lot of us are like, God, this big team and it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we help them and how do we coach them next?
So how are you helping them?
I'm in the process of deciding what it's going to look like. I'm not, I think there's a lot of really great options.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of weighing all those options and seeing,
Expansion. Have you expanded?
expansion is a tough one because what does expansion mean? Do we have agents in different states? Yep.
Yeah.
And are we all working out of one hub? Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're not in a, 9 different offices and all that. We're past the state of Maryland, but we're not in the expansion world in terms of having an agent in every office.
Right.
Well, I think you have to do something. What gave you energy in the beginning changes over time.
Yeah.
And as you evolve, you're going to have to say, okay, yes, that gave me energy before, but now I need something different. I need a new challenge or a new opportunity.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You got to ask yourself, could you do whatever that thing is for the next 25 years? And
Yeah.
if the answer is no, don't even start it. Right.
Yeah. Or can I work on this for the next 5 or 6 years and make that my passion project? And then when I feel like I've gotten to a level of success, what's next in line? What else could I do? And that kind of how it went with, consumers to agents to now teams.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes right into our next question, which is
That was all planned.
perfect. You did great. Which is what excites you most about the industry right now? We keep hearing, like we're in hard times and this is going to be kind of a crappy year. We might not make as much money this year, but there is a lot of opportunity too. So what are you most excited about for the industry?
Yeah, I think anybody who's looking at this year and getting upset is just way too short-sighted. Like there's a book called The Long Game that I have read several times, and I think it's a really good way to look at the world, and everything's talking about like the future and not looking at anything in such a short time span as a year. So for me, if in a time that's tough, I can attract more agents to my team and I can give them more training and I can help them get better. Just imagine what happens in 1 or 2 or 3 years when the market comes back. And now I've added a lot of talent. I've shown them a path to succeed. And then the market helps take care of everything else.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
that.
That's a great one.
And I hope the 2 million real estate agents out there drops to 1 million.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to drop.
Yeah.
They said what 1.6 at the end of the last year and expecting still a 30% drop.
Yeah.
NAR is at least.
Well, if you look at it this way, there's 1.6 million realtors. There was only 600,000
Yeah.
that were before 2008. So
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
million people who've never been through a shift. And then when you actually look at the stats of that 600,000, only 300,000 are left, which means 1.3 million out of the 1.6 have never been through a shift, have never dealt with this, have never experienced anything but the greatest real estate market for 10 or 12 years.
Yeah. Awesome.
You know, that just made me think of what Jason Abrams said, which I love. Just because there is less opportunity doesn't mean your opportunity is
It's
less.
Yeah.
And I keep saying that over and over and over
Yeah.
in my head because it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
it
Unless
very
you
is.
decide. And then once you decide, it's
Yeah.
gonna be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we sold, I don't know, whatever it was, 500 homes with about 9 agents.
I was
And
gonna ask you how many agents.
and we now have 25 agents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because over the last year and a half, we've been adding new agents and training them and bringing people in with zero experience and showing them. We've started an ISA department and we've got that up and running now, but it's all been over the last 2 or 3 years. So we're like geared up to hit the next gear. So it's a little different when people are like, oh, the market's so bad.
Yeah.
Not for us. We've got more people, more systems, and we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Love
Okay.
it.
Last last question. I know they're like telling us we got to wrap up. So if an agent was looking to really double down and grow their business this year, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Yeah, it's going to sound really cliche and really boring, but I think what we have to realize is cliche and boring is what works, and it's your database.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, when I got into the business and I was like, all right, how do I become a top team? How do I run a top business? I started spending time with all the top teams throughout the country. I mean, I was the weirdo who would show up in your market and be like, hey, I'm in town for a day and I don't have a hotel room. Can I crash at your house? And people are like, okay. And then I'd spend 2 days learning their business. And every time I did that, I realized that every one of them, the majority of their business came from their sphere,
Yeah.
came from their database.
Yeah.
And yet we're running around going, oh, this person did expireds or this person did open houses or this did whatever. It's really the database that drives everyone's business, but we don't like to talk about because it's boring. So we focus on the second or third thing they've done that's kind of cool,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
the database first.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love it. Great.
Thank you,
answer.
Nick.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Nick.
it.
Great
We
job.
appreciate
Yeah.
having
Thank you guys for
on.
having me.
Thanks. So good afternoon. Ryan Butler is our very next first ever Radio Row at Keller Williams Family Reunion in Anaheim. So
Right.
Ryan, we're super excited to get to know you better. And we always like to say you were born and then what happened, Cliff Note version, of course.
That's a great one. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, I'm Ryan Butler, Keller Williams Capital Properties. My team is Coalition Properties Group. We're based out of Washington, D.C. Since 2019 is when we formed our team. Since then, we've sold about $500 million in real estate.
Wow.
We have facilitated over $1 million in charitable givings, and we've sold over 1,000 homes.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay.
What else? What have you done with all that free time you have?
I had a kid, and then I buy a lot of real estate.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's pretty impressive.
I remember your team name.
Yes.
I remember I heard you at something, maybe Mega Camp, because I remembered your all's charitable
Yes.
contributions.
Yeah. At Mega Camp, I was on with Gary, so yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Love it. Awesome. What's
yeah.
the team look like today?
The team looks like today. I have 2 partners, Harrison Beecher and Keith James. And we met Harrison. I actually went to college with him, and I attempted to play football, and he actually did. So that's how we met, and we started our small promotion business just then. What's funny is that we still have the same roles today that we had then. So it's kind of interesting. And then Keith is also a really interesting story. We met in DC. I picked him up at a bar because that's where I got most of my clients. And that's when I was a solo agent. Yeah, that's when I was a solo
They used to
agent.
sell a house when they're drinking.
It was that was my, see, you got it. And so I met Keith, and come to find out, Keith and I are from we're from Mississippi, which is pretty rare to
Yeah.
probably find someone
met
from
in
there.
DC.
I met in DC, and we went to the same intermediate school.
Wow.
His mother helped watch my brother from the Child Development Center.
That's
So it was a
crazy.
really kind of crazy, meant to be. And now, now we have about 20 agents on our team, and then a total organization size of about 30, 35.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you start the business, and how did charity become so important to you? Is that something you've always had a heart for, or you just woke up one day and said, hey, we need to make sure we have a charitable arm on this team?
It was always a part of it, even before we came together as so I got licensed in 2016. And even before we came together, when we were solo agents, we all had charitable work doing. And our big thing is we do party with a purpose. So we have really large events with hundreds of people. I mean, at our holiday party, we had about 300 people or so come to our holiday party, and everyone paid to come. And all of the money from the payments went directly to charity.
You mean you charged your clients to come?
I charge my clients
Okay.
to come. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that was a big change in mindset for us. But we said, hey, this is all going to charity
Yeah, I was
anyway.
gonna
It's not like we're pocketing the money.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, did they really care if it was going towards charity?
And fundamentally, we believe that we threw great events, and it was a black tie
Yeah.
Harlem Nights theme party, and it was fantastic.
Wow.
So that week alone, we raised $40,000, right?
Wow.
Great, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. So one of the things that we have been hearing a lot about on our podcast and from a lot of our listeners right now is burnout. And just over the last couple of years, a lot of people are feeling rather burnout, and or they're deciding, they want to sell their business or get out of their business, or they want to do something else. And so we were just wondering, do you ever feel burnout, and or like, what do you do to get
What
out?
advice would you give someone who is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone feels burnout at some point, and part of it is physical and part of it is mental. I think on the physical side is that you end up spending more time doing one thing, and you kind of get out of your routines.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like you're not sleeping as much, you're not eating well anymore. You just get busy, and you put at least for me, I get busy and then I just put whatever the fuel is, like give it to me. 5-hour energies, it didn't matter. And like, that's terrible for your body. I probably shouldn't do that, but I did it. Right. And then the second piece. And so I think mental piece of that is resetting your expectations on what your life should look like, and really having a clear vision on what you're deciding to do. Like, do I actually want to do this anymore? Like, I should maybe cut this part out because that's not that important anymore.
Yeah.
You're saying no a lot, starting to say no a lot more, I think is a big part of it.
Yeah, we've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like Molly Fletcher talked about that. Gary's talked about that this
Yeah.
week. It seems like we've just heard that a lot more.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, Jocko Willis is a Navy SEAL.
we know Jocko.
Okay, yeah,
I mean, not
fantastic.
personally. Well, you may. I don't know. You don't. I don't think. No, but we've read his books.
I've read his books too. So if that's the case, I know him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know him together.
We know
And-
everybody that we've read.
yeah,
the
we
book.
read
They just
together.
don't know us
Exactly, and that's a real thing.
yet.
And he says that when the pressure's on, that you don't rise to your best self, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like you fall to your training.
Mm.
And so
Love that.
your training, your education, your routines, like if those aren't tight in your personal life, like your morning, your miracle morning, all those things, it's easy to get off track and have a much larger cyclical life. Like, oh, this is so bad, and like, oh, this is so good. But that routine kind of keeps you a little bit more stoic, which is what Ryan Holiday just talked about, right?
That's great.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what excites you most about the industry? You came in 2016, so it was after a shift.
Yeah.
This your
Was
first
it?
shift. Not really.
Well, I don't know. I
probably.
wasn't there before, so
Yeah, that's true. And who cares, right? You were here. So what excites you most about looking forward in the industry?
in the industry itself, what excites me most, probably more of a personal thing, is that I'm excited that realtors are looking to be more investment centric.
That's
And
good.
so I
Yeah.
think that's something that at least being preached a lot more.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys have
Yeah.
talked about it for, I don't know, there's a book out there or something that might talk about a little bit, but the concept of group economics, I think, is something a little bit newer, more nuanced with it. So having syndications, having group raises in group economics to buy property,
Yeah.
where you can just do your part without having to be so actively managing a lot of properties, which really gives a lot of stress to people. Especially if you're trying to have a big business, real estate sales business. It's like, oh, now I got to have a big real estate investment business because it's a business. It can be quite a bit.
So true.
You said you have some investments yourself, right?
Yeah.
What kind? What, single family or commercial?
So I suck at single family. I'm sorry. I don't know. Is that too
okay.
bad?
I already said
Okay.
it twice. Yeah, you're good.
I'm not the best at single family. I found that I was actually pretty bad. So I found out, what am I good at? Well, I found that the more complicated or the bigger the problem, I was probably more valuable to that situation. So I tend to buy multifamily apartment buildings.
Cool.
So most recently, in fact, I don't know when this will come out, but closing on a 100-unit apartment building in Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
So
not even in your area.
Oh no, I'll buy anywhere in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, as long as it makes sense.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a lot of books, so you must be a reader.
Yeah.
Great people usually are learners. What are some of the best books you've read?
Some of the best books I've read. It sounds
Or is it
so
selfish
cliche,
question?
but man, just go down the Gary Keller list, man. It's like MREA is, to me, is the best business book ever written.
Yeah.
I don't know another business book that is just not as good. I also think I've been reading probably top of mind David Goggins, right? Kind of like, just stop. Right now I'm in a space where I'm trying to make sure I don't lose my edge and stay on top of things. So it's like, get a little bit harder. I got a little soft in the belly, so I'm trying to get a little harder in the belly. So yeah, those are kind of probably two books that I think are kind of top for me.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, thanks so much for being with us today. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much.
Can't wait to share it with our.
One last question. What's your favorite charity that you like to give to?
Oh, good question.
That is a good question. Our most recent, I don't know my favorite. I would say March for Babies. I think that not only what the charity itself has, but a lot of it has to be with the relationship I have with the people that introduced me to it, right?
Yeah.
So that got introduced to me from my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and they're big supporters of. It used to be March for Dimes, now March for Babies.
I was gonna say, is it March for? I have heard of March for Dimes, so that's the same thing.
It's the same thing. They changed the name a few years ago, as far as I know of. That's
awesome.
Wow, cool.
Love it. Well, keep doing the great work. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate the invite.
You did great. That was really good.
I know, we wish we had 30 minutes with everybody instead of 15.
Extra large. What was that?
I said, we wish we had 30 minutes with everybody instead of 15.
15
15
is
so
pretty-
short. Pretty short. You got to get right to
Yeah,
it.
you got to get right into it. You can't really breathe.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you. God bless you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Keep doing great work.
Have a good one.
John's up next.
Is he?
Yeah.
I wonder if he's as nervous as we are.
Oh my gosh.
Hot seat right here. You're up.
We're
You're
ready
up.
for you.
I had it up until you started cheering.
Are we the first podcast you've ever been on? Say yes.
Sure.
Oh, yay. We want to be your first. No, you've been on another podcast. Which one you been on?
I don't think I've been on any.
Yay. We're his first podcast. That's awesome.
Have you back more than 15
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, no kidding. Awesome. So kick us off.
All right.
Hold on, let me turn my phone. Let me so it doesn't
Yep.
keep vibrating.
I know mine was doing it the whole time too.
I ended up on like a bunch of group threads during all these
Yeah.
things, and I'm like
Yeah.
silencing my phone.
Okay, you are gonna have to probably get
Yeah,
close to that, the mic a little bit.
closer to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they've got us watching this green thing. There we
Yeah.
go. Okay,
got it.
perfect.
So
Go
what-
ahead.
It's not actually videoed. Like I don't need to worry about this.
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
We're gonna capture
we're
you
gonna
here.
capture it on this side.
We're gonna
Yeah,
capture you on this side.
Just talk.
You look great.
You look great. Yeah.
Y'all look better.
Don't we
We're
look
Easter
like
eggs
Easter
today.
eggs, don't we?
I know y'all look. It's fabulous. So happy.
Awesome. So welcome everyone. We're at our very first Radio Row at Keller Williams in Family Reunion at Anaheim.
Yep.
And we're super excited because we have an amazing guest named John Keller, who
Yes.
I've actually watched grow up from afar. and
True.
turned into an amazing young man. Super proud
Thank
to
you.
know his family and to watch him grow up into an amazing young man and a leader of Keller Williams.
Thanks, y'all.
So, hey, real quick, we always like to say you were born and then what happened. Cliff Note version, of course.
Short version. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
How'd you get here today?
I was born. They put me in the car. There was for sale signs in the trunk. I think your son Press is a very similar story,
Yeah.
and I'm sure a listing appointment was made on the way home. It's
Yeah.
a little delayed back to mom.
Baptism by real estate buyer. All that.
All right, yeah. Let me try to make this real short because I told a extended version last night that took an hour. So, was born in the business. Came to family reunions as a family vacation. Yeah, I'm looking at Miss McKissick. It's the
Yeah.
same story. And I don't know. The company always felt like calling it a way of life feels forced, but it's true,
Yeah.
right? Looking back, the idea of going and working anywhere else
Hmm.
is kind of a joke,
Yeah.
honestly, right? It's a little bit laughable. So
Yeah.
the fact that I made a detour after college for a hot second is, or even during undergrad, was unexpected.
What did you do during that time?
I studied landscape architecture
Oh,
for undergrad and thought I wanted to design parks and cities and urban development.
wow.
I was all set up. I was going to go to graduate school for design. I wanted to go to Harvard Graduate School of Design. I got offered a partnership in a architecture firm out of undergrad. Actually, by focusing on one thing, which actually earned me some low grades in my engineering and drafting courses. But I told my professors that nobody cared about engineering or drafting. All they cared about was stories and design and selling big pictures. And turned out to be true.
Yeah.
And the people I interned saw that. But what happened was when I got out of undergrad and I started looking at the financials of that business model, the gentleman, Mitch, who runs our family office, put up the Excel spreadsheet on a big board for me and was like, "Are you familiar with the billable hours model?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Please do tell," right? And this is having grown up. My dad paid me to read business books when I was in second grade to start reading.
It's true. Okay.
Well, I wondered if it was true as well until we were clearing out my childhood room to make way for a nursery for my daughter. And I'm standing up on the top shelf, clearing stuff off because I had these huge built-ins in my wall and tons of books. And it's all dusty up there. And my wife's in the room. And I get to this long stack of books. And they've got Post-it notes on the front of them. And it's like $45, love dad. $35, love dad, right? $100 if you write an essay at the end of this sales book, love dad. And I'm like, well, I guess I didn't finish them all. And that's why I don't know some things. But yeah.
You did the same thing though with
Oh,
Press,
yeah.
didn't you? Did
Yeah.
you learn that from Gary?
Or he might have learned it from us.
Yeah. There you go.
Easy. I believe it. Yeah. So, make a long story short, they recruited me away from my dream at the time. I'm actually looking at Jay Papazan over there because I was talking to him after I came back to the company, came home, and he sat me down. He goes, "I want you to hear it from me first. I told Mitch not to hire you, not to take you off your dream because either you're going to burn out and screw up and Gary's going to hate you forever, or you can risk it and be the golden boy who brought John home and never get any credit for it." And
No pressure.
nobody gives him any credit for bringing me back to work for Gary. And yeah, then
So what is your role now
Um,
inside of KW for those that don't know?
I'm now the vice chairman of the company as of 3 months ago, 2 months
Awesome.
ago.
But you're also
So-
super creative. And I have to tell you, our creativity has gone through the roof.
Oh, we were just
part of-
talking about this.
The videos are fantastic. The creativeness of all the
you.
teams working together, the collaborations, I've never seen it be better.
We've never had videos. I mean, every time a new one comes out, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the best one.
I'm just hoping some voice company doesn't hire you away though and steal you.
So I think what the realization we had was that the company had built this amazing brand without ever focusing on branding or brand strategy or marketing.
Yeah.
Right. Our marketing
Yeah.
department is great, right? But it was never filled with leadership of like brand strategy.
I agree. with
Right.
that.
Like
Yep.
thinking about what's the brand? What does it stand
Yeah.
for? What's its purpose? How do we build it? And how do we lean on that as an intangible asset on the balance sheet?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's really key and applicable to everybody's business is when you're looking at your balance sheet, there's this thing that's not written down there
Yeah.
and it's a line item on assets or what, by the way, could be a liability
Yeah.
depending on what you do out there, called brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't put a number
So
to it
true.
necessarily,
Yep.
but it's there.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very large number for Keller Williams, right?
And for any realtor that's
Yeah.
listening, I mean, every realtor should get what you just said.
100%. And you're starting at zero, but
Yeah.
it's a good reason why people start. It's why a lot of people show up and use their name for their real estate team
Yeah.
because they bring all the brand equity that is associated with Joe Smith to Joe Smith home sales team.
Yeah.
Right. But then what's next is you have to focus on how do you build that brand further and further and further.
Yeah.
Like for us, that was the Where Entrepreneurs Thrive thing, right?
Which is
Yeah.
so good.
This past summer, we were like, hey, what's our purpose statement?
Yeah.
And I was talking to Mo, I had lunch with Mo yesterday, and we were talking about our mission statement, our careers and businesses and lives. And the question that came to us was, okay, that's what we do, but why do we do it? And we
Yeah.
couldn't answer that with our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't actually on there.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I was talking to Gary late one night and he was like, are you asking me to change a model? And I was like, yeah, I'm asking you to change one of your models. He's like, we don't change models. We teach MVVBP. 2 weeks later, comes into a room and I'm like, all right, what's the purpose of the company? And he goes, I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks and it's to build a place where entrepreneurs thrive. And then he kept talking and it was like, no, pencils down. You got it.
Stop.
It's it. It's genius.
it.
We're good. That's
Yeah.
it.
Mic drop.
And so we've spent the last, I don't know, however many months since August, 6 months,
Yeah.
pouring into that message and trying to use that to revitalize the company
Yeah.
by basically, I think I'm talking about myself and what we did a lot here, but I think if you want to make it applicable to other people is you've got the MVVVP model, but
Yeah.
you also have to ask yourself the question about what is my reason for existing? Why do I walk the planet? What do I do every day? And what's going on? Right? Like, why am I here? And then you use that as a decision-making framework of one question.
Yeah.
Right. And I got in a little trouble with HR when I spoke to the whole company in September, November. And because I sort of had this like death to corporate America speech with a couple F-bombs in it. And I
Mo wasn't there.
said, look, like I had to sit down and fire our CEO, several months
Yeah.
ago, right? Everybody thought he quit. Turns out nobody knew I'd fired him, right? But it was a great moment to tell everybody we lost our way in the woods. We lost
Yeah.
our way in the wilderness for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we got a little corporate because as things grow bigger, entropy takes hold, right? It's
Yeah.
the prevailing force of the universe. And our jobs and really successful people organize things.
Yeah.
Like you build systems and models and you just want to organize all the entropy so you can just keep things ticking on time. And if you're not careful, that can look like a big corporation for a really big business.
Yeah.
And the trick is how do you build systems and models to keep your business small and nimble and not systems and models just for the sake of keeping things chugging
Yeah.
along. And
Yeah.
we had 7 people quit because they said they didn't want to work for an entrepreneurial company. And I'm never been more proud.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here thinking about this though, John, because I do feel like for a hot minute there,
Yeah.
we
did lose our way.
we lost. I mean, we got so corporate. I mean, you and for those of us that had been here and
Oh, sister, I was there.
yeah, I mean,
I hired some of those people.
you
Yeah.
could feel it. I mean, down to the agents could feel it, and I'm just so proud over the last
Yes.
year. I feel like, man, like we've got it back. We've got our momentum. Lynn and I were just talking about this. Like we've never had momentum like
It's
we
so
have right
good.
now.
And I'm going to say this, it's a bold statement, but we've been talking about a lot. At first, it was marketing is like this dark art, right? It's
Yeah.
you can't put your finger on it. You don't know where the dollars are going out the window to the agency or the whatever. It's like sales and lead
Yeah.
generation, all these things. For big companies in recessions, do y'all know the number one expense they cut?
Probably that.
Advertising.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say that.
Right? Do you know the number one strategy that you should use in a downturn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You fill the vacuum
Yeah.
because
Right.
everything gets cheaper in
Yeah,
that
The
moment.
opposite direction.
Yeah.
So you
Yep.
pour money into advertising
Yeah.
and marketing and lead generation, right? That's
Yeah.
what you do. And if you can really, 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 really focus on your brand and your brand standards, and then pour into the marketing and advertising engine around that, you can, it's weird, but the decision to introduce a purpose statement back into the company
Yeah.
and then I derailed earlier when I gave that speech to the company. What I said was every single decision that you make going forward, from the top of the company to the bottom of the company, when you ask yourself this question,
Yeah.
does this help entrepreneurs thrive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the answer is no,
Becomes guardrails.
Yeah.
then you need to go back and start over.
Yeah.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You
Yeah.
haven't hit the answer.
Yeah. I love that so much. I think
Well, that's why you see communities going, because communities is us just spinning off little entrepreneurial areas
Yeah.
to go and move faster
And
to help
there's
people
so
with individual
many
needs.
new great ones. I remember probably 5 or 6 years ago, I was in Austin and I was talking to Jason and he said, what's the one thing that you feel like that we need to do that we're missing? And I said, we're the like #1 real estate company in the world and we're not on Instagram. Like that's a problem, you know? And now I feel like,
Yeah.
man, we're out there, like we're everywhere. And
We were not telling our own story,
we
and we've been
weren't.
told that
Yeah.
so many times.
We
and
have the
still haven't done
greatest
it.
story in the industry,
We
and
do. We
weren't
nobody
telling it.
knows it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, I love realtors, but what I think is true about the company is that what we love more than realtors is we love entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Because if you just love realtors, it's not enough to be successful.
Yeah.
Because just focusing on being a good realtor is never going to grow a big business.
Yeah.
Right. Because when you pass that test and you
Yeah.
become a real estate agent, congratulations, you're in business for yourself. You're now an entrepreneur and you don't have time to go to business school. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You got to go learn systems and models and tools and training to be a business person. And that's what we do here. Nobody else does that.
Totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
Well, we have one final question.
Is
And
it
the
about my
question-
relationship with my father?
It is about what, because now you're a father. Now
Father of two.
two beautiful children, by the way. I watch Gary's pictures. I
Thank
love them.
you.
He
And
sends
it's
them to me every so
It's
often.
so cute how proud Gary is. Like, I love
I
when he
love it.
wears the socks with their picture.
know.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
the cutest ever.
So we're curious about this. What are some of the things that Gary instilled in you to make you this amazing, and your mom too, Mary too. I know you're a great mix of both of them. What are some of the things that he instilled that you want to instill in your children that you think brought you to where you are today?
Purpose and intentionality.
Mm,
I think intention is sort of a prevailing parenting attribute that he carried with him. And simply because when you have intention, it gets results. You know, I mean, he was very intentional about here's one. He wanted me to be enjoy the outdoors, right? You know that because I went on fishing trips with your family,
Yes.
right? Up to Canada and the Boundary Waters. And so he rinse, wash, repeat. He did that over and over and over again and exposed me to those things because he wanted me to do that, right? He was very intentional about me understanding intuitively the principles of business, which is why I had to go sit in the front row of family reunion all those years. Why I had to go to Quantum Leap year over year over year over year over year. It's why I had to read the business books. It's why he was heartbroken when I was like, I'm gonna go to the University of Georgia, go dog them dogs as hell, and study landscape architecture. Cause he's like, oh my gosh, wait, I thought I had intention and purpose in my parenting. And then when I went and got my MBA, I think he was like, oh, I did.
Okay,
I did.
we're
Anyway,
clear.
it was just intention. There's a lot you could say about it, but
Yeah.
it was having purpose and having intention around what you wanted to see the results of your parenting to be, and then building a plan and sticking to it and being firm but loving,
yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Love that.
Firm but loving.
Love
Which
that.
I feel like can be hard to do, you
Yeah.
know, because don't want to
Well,
lose respect.
Kids see boundaries as love.
Yeah.
And it
True.
keeps them safe. They feel safe, right?
Yeah.
A lot of
100%.
times the boundaries are the hardest things for parents to do, but it is the one thing that makes a child feel safe and loved. I mean, I can't think of the times I would be really firm with my kids and in 2 seconds they're back in your lap giving you a big hug and a kiss. And you
Yeah.
probably just gave them a spanking or something, which I'm sure nobody does anymore. But
Not true.
yeah, so they,
A lot of spanking at my house.
that's awesome.
Awesome. Well, this has been great.
Sure.
We needed triple time with you, John. So thank you.
Okay. Thanks for
And I
coming
think
over with me.
this
I
is every
appreciate y'all.
Christmas card you've
Appreciate it.
ever drawn. I keep trying to collect them all.
Oh, that's
Find my
cool.
lost ones. All your Christmas cards
Thank
over the
you
years
so
that
much.
you did.
Thank
Loved
you.
them all.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
should
Thank
put
Thank you.
those all
We're
together
excited to have
somewhere.
you be in leadership and
Yeah.
bring your ideas and your creativity and
And
everything.
your good video voice.
yes, your great video voice.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I do.
Awesome.
I appreciate
Awesome.
that.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.